Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll help the channel out and it'll get you more videos like this. Let's get to it. And our first one comes from Whose Mom Are You? Am I the beehole for reminding my sister-in-law she isn't a mother on Mother's Day? My brother, Miles, lost his wife, Sarah, 4 years ago. He has a son, Eric, 11. Miles married his wife, Josie, at about 18 months ago. And yes, she's trying the whole second mom thing. Oh, this never works out. Eric is in grief therapy, and Miles is being better about pushing Josie on Eric than he could be. But he also isn't being as respectful as the fact that Eric doesn't see her as a mother, as he could be. Sarah, unfortunately, doesn't have sisters, so I'm the closest woman her age in Eric's life. I'm trying to be there for him as much as I can. We are very close. Not that I'll ever take Sarah's place. No one will. But he knows if there's ever something he doesn't want to talk to his dad about, that my home is always open to him. So, for Mother's Day, Eric wanted to visit Sarah's grave and then come to Mother's Day lunch with me and my family. Miles agreed to this plan initially, but the day before, he canceled on Eric's behalf, saying that he and Josie thought it was best that Eric spend the whole day with them, since Eric should show appreciation to Josie on Mother's Day. I argued with Miles, and eventually Miles said I could come by and see Eric and get the gift he had gotten me, but he wanted Eric to stay with him and Josie. When I went over to the house, Eric gave me some flowers and a small candle. We were talking outside, and he said that he had his phone taken away, but because he refused to say or do anything for Josie on Mother's Day. Wow. Wow, Miles is effing up. That's a fantastic way to get your child not to like his stepmother, by bullying him and forcing him into, loving her. You can't do that. You can't force someone to love somebody, and this whole pushing him closer, forcing them, is going to want to make him rebel and push away even farther. That's human nature, to rebel and to not, listen. Oy, back to it. Imagine punishing a child because he doesn't love you. I didn't say anything to Eric, but when I was leaving, I said to Miles that I thought he was doing untold damage to his son by bullying him into pretending that he cares about Josie. Josie said it wasn't bullying for wanting Eric to participate in celebrating her on Mother's Day, so I looked at her and said, "Josie, whose mother are you?" Josie had a miscarriage a few months ago, so this hit her pretty hard. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't realize this would upset her, but frankly, she isn't Eric's mother, and she can't make up for wishing she was by making the day harder for him. Josie burst into tears and started shouting at me, and Miles told me to take Eric and go with me because obviously this whole thing has been a failure. Miles is saying I went too far for reminding Josie that she isn't a mother, but I feel like someone had to because she was acting like she's entitled to the title when the child doesn't feel that way. If she was having a hard day and wanted to memorialize what she's been through, then that's her business, but Eric shouldn't be bullied into a pantomime because of her grief. Hi, OP. No, you're not the beehole, and I'm glad you stuck up for the kid, because this is not the way to get him to love her. Trying to force him into it. It's just not. Miles needs to see that crap too. Eventually, the kid's going to get older and be like, I hate my stepmom and blah, 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 blah. I hate my dad because he tried to force her onto me. You don't do that. If it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, oh well. And no, no one can replace the boy's mother. His mother is his mother. And I don't blame him for not wanting to celebrate Mother's Day. Now, if he let things happen naturally, he could have maybe have seen her as a stepmother and celebrate her. But you can't force him into it. It's never gonna work. I'm glad you were there and stuck up for him. That sucks. He's being punished because he's being forced to love someone that he doesn't really know all that well. How effed up is that? I will never get that whole trying to make a family or forcing, a family, I guess blended? I don't know, forced step family. Trying to force a step parent into the family like that. You just gotta let it happen. And if it does, it does. If it doesn't, oh well. But OP, not the beehole, and I hope you enjoyed your Mother's Day. And our second one is from Otherwise File 5199. Am I the beehole for setting up a just-in-case fund for my daughter? My daughter has been married to her husband for 3 years, and they recently had their first child. The entire time they've been married, she's been a housewife, and now she's a stay-at-home mom with no plans to return to work. I think that's fine, and have always been supportive. I also know she and her husband both have sizable life insurance policies, so God forbid one of them doesn't make it, they'll be okay. However, she also signed a prenup, which again I think is smart. But according to my daughter, she'd get a very small settlement, and even with child support, there's a good chance she'd have to return to work. And after being out of the workforce for a bit, who knows what will happen if that changes. My main worry is my niece fell into this scenario even with child support. She struggled. So, my husband, her father, and I set up a just in case account. If she and her husband divorce, she'll have money to fall back on just in case. If they remain married past the time my husband and I are not here anymore, it'll just be added to what she'll inherit. I didn't intend on telling her about it unless it happened, but my husband pointed out that if she was ever in a situation where she wanted to leave, but was worried she financially couldn't, it'd be a good for her to know she has a plan B. So we told her she was a little surprised. She said she appreciated it, but felt we were rooting against her. I said we'd love her husband and hope they have a long and healthy marriage. We have always been supportive, but this is similar to a prenup. A just in case, a last resort. Well, she told her husband, and he is pissed at us as well, saying we don't trust him. I mean, yeah. I said it's looking out for our daughter and really no different from a prenup. I added that just as he always wants to protect his daughter, we'll always want to protect ours. Am I the beehole? No, you're not the beehole. Shite happens. People get divorced a lot nowadays. I'm hoping they don't because they have kids. But what you're doing is smart. And like you said, if it's better to have it and then have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, because if stuff happens, she has something to fall on back to. But if nothing happens and they become a happy family, like you said, they got some money to inherit. I don't see a negative in this situation. This is a plus. It even might be a plus for him later on, when it's your time to leave. I don't know, if I was in that situation, I was the husband, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And I wouldn't phase me. So I'm gonna say, yeah, you're not the beehole. Good looking out for your kid. And our final one comes from OwnWeb8689. Am I the beehole for telling my daughter-in-law her feelings are not my problem, and for F's sakes, you don't need to be invited to everything? I will keep this as short as possible. The family has a code word that means to meet up at my home because there's bad news. So, emergency family meeting. This is something that is extremely rare and is meant to drop what you're doing and get over there as soon as possible. It's only an invite for the kids. No in-laws are invited. This was discussed and agreed upon by everyone. This was due to everyone being mostly comfortable with sharing bad news with their siblings and not having to be polite with the in-laws. For example, my daughter used the code word and it was an emergency family meeting. She was getting a divorce and needed help. After everyone fills in their spouses, but not all the nitty-gritty details. This happened today. An emergency meeting was called by my husband. In short, he needs surgery. I won't go into more than that. Everyone left and I got a call from my daughter-in-law, upset that she wasn't invited to the meeting. I asked if she knew what these were. She told me my son explained it. She reiterated that she should still be invited and that I'm excluding her, that she was upset and expects an invite the next time. I told her that her feelings aren't my problem, and for F's sake, you don't need to be invited to everything. She just called me a jerk. My son told me he'll deal with it, but I could have been nicer. OP, definitely not the beehole. It's different. There's family, and then there's family. Like, the person I'm with will never see me in like the weakened state I've been in. The only women who will ever see me in that state is my sister and my mother, because it's different for different people. Just like how I don't want my sister-in-law to find out, some embarrassing thing about my body or something like that. You know what I mean? You want the people you're closest to and who you trust and you can be raw with there in these type of situations. And it's not like you're not telling everyone. When you're done, you go out and you tell them the gist of what's going on. To me, that makes sense, and I think that's cool. You guys have the code word, because we have code words too, but nothing to like assemble the family. That's pretty sick though. I would love an assemble the family kind of code. And no, she shouldn't be able to just barge her way in on this. He explained what this was. You guys all agreed to what this was. I'm pretty sure when your family member was getting divorced, she doesn't want the freaking sister-in-law there being nosy, hearing all the details. All she has to know is that, hey, she's getting divorced, and that's about it. So no, OP, you're not the beehole. And it's people in the comments over here telling you you're the beehole. No, you're not. Let me look down the comments again. People are crazy. Yeah, I'm looking in the comments, and it's, you don't consider your spouse, the child's spouse, family? No, they're family, but family is, different degrees of family. Like, I don't talk to my cousins. I'm not going to tell them if, some horrible thing happened to me or some embarrassing thing happened to me. Like I said, My inner family, the ones who I can be real raw with, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister. That's it. I'm not gonna go raw and tell my brother's wife things like that because she's family, but she's not family. There's different family. And while looking in the comments, I found someone with their head screwed on right. It comes from Trilobite 14:1. Why is it depressing for people to only want to share their worst moments with the people who are close to them? Thank you, that makes sense to me. I have many siblings. Some I'm close to their spouses, some I'm not. Yep, same here. When my marriage fell apart, I told my close family first. The people who I can sob in front of. Yup, same thing here. I'm sorry, the person I'm dating, I'm never gonna, ugly cry in front of them. Sister, mother, not even my dad. I don't like looking weak in front of my pops either. The people I trust deeply to support me in my pain. I don't think of any of my sister-in-laws or brother-in-laws are unworthy, and they're still family. Yeah, I agree, still family, still care about them, but just different levels. But there are degrees of family. Most of them I'd put on the same level as my cousins. People I like and get to see on holidays. Yup. But not folks who need the front row seat when my life turns into a tragedy. What's depressing is how many people in these comments seem to think that marrying someone makes you entitled to violate privacy of their relatives. It's not like the daughter-in-law wasn't invited to a party or a family dinner. For F's sake, I'm angry and bitter now just for her. How unhinged some of these comments are. Thank you. See? Smart. That's makes sense to me. OP, not the beehole. Thank you for making it to the end of the video with me. And can you please do what I said in the beginning? And like, comment, and subscribe. It really and truly does help the channel out. It helps it grow, and it helps you get more videos like this. Velvet out.